Russian satellite has shifted within 60 kilometers of another spacecraft. When it comes to saber rattling, few countries employ it as much as Russia does. During their ongoing invasion and occupation of Ukraine, the country's leadership has repeatedly threatened to use atomic weapons, but the threats don't stop there. A private company called Slingshot Aerospace says Russia has maneuvered one of their Luch satellites, L-U-C-H, their Luch satellites uncomfortably close to Western spacecraft in GEO, that's geostationary orbit, and it's not the first time. The satellite in question is named Luch Olymp 2, and its NORAD ID is 55841. Russia launched it in March of 2023, and it's a successor to Luch Olymp NORAD ID 40258. The naming conventions are a little confusing, but Luch 1 was a well-known interloper. Russia launched it in 2014 and maneuvered it close to other nation satellites on different occasions. American company Intelsat was not happy when the Luch came within 10 kilometers of their space vehicles. That's pretty close. They reached out for an explanation, but Russia remained tight-lipped about the maneuver. Now Luch Olymp 2 is following in its predecessor's footsteps. Slingshot Aerospace is a startup that uses algorithms and AI to track satellites. In early September, their detection algorithms revealed that the satellite had initiated a new maneuver. The Russian satellite performed numerous approaches to other satellites, and by October 5th, it had slowed considerably and appeared to be parking, quote-unquote, within 60 kilometers of another satellite. Slingshot's global sensor network verified the detection and also projected close approaches to another satellite at about 16 kilometers distance. Now, what does Russia say about this? Not much, but a look at past behavior gives a good indication of Russia's saber-rattling and brinkmanship behavior. In 2020, two Russian satellites named Cosmos 2542 and Cosmos 2543 maneuvered close to KH-11, a U.S. military surveillance satellite. That was in January, and 6 months later, in July, Cosmos 2543 fired a projectile. The projectile was not aimed at a satellite, it was fired into outer space, but it caught everyone's attention. In November of 2021, Russia tested an anti-satellite ASAT weapon on one of its own satellites that generated dangerous debris in thousands of what satellite experts called conjunctions. Space awareness company ComSpock predicted that the number of potentially dangerous conjunctions from the debris peaked at 4,000 a day. In January 2023, another Russian satellite, Cosmos 2499, broke up and generated a cloud of debris. That satellite was mysterious and likely experimental, but because of its powered maneuvers, there was speculation that it could be an anti-satellite weapon. So Russia routinely maneuvers their RPO, rendezvous and proximity operations, or inspector satellites close to U.S. satellites and others. And some of their satellites carry weapons, and they're not afraid to make it risky for everyone in clouds of debris. This is classic brinkmanship, and the U.S. and others are taking note. Quote, this test is further proof that Russia's hypocritical advocacy of outer space arms control proposals designed to restrict the capabilities of the U.S. while clearly having no intention of halting their counter-space weapons program, end quote. General John W. J. Raymond's U.S. Space Force Chief of Space Operations, after the Russian ASAT test, he said, the United States is ready and committed to deterring aggression and defending the nation, our allies and U.S. interests from hostile acts in space. Could a satellite-on-satellite war in Earth orbit meet anyone's objectives? Debris clouds from destroyed satellites pose an equal threat to all satellites, even an aggressors, but the threat itself accomplishes something. Aerospace Corporation's Center for Space Policy and Strategy released a paper 3 years ago that delves into the issue of war in Earth orbit. They laid out 4 objectives for orbital posturing and conflict. 1, deceive an enemy so that they react in ways that hurt their interests. 2, disrupt, deny, or degrade an enemy's ability to use a space capability, either temporarily or permanently. 3, destroy completely a space-based capability. 4, deter or defend against a counteracting adversary, either in space or on Earth. In that framework, Russia's actions are rational. Putin does all kinds of things just to provoke reactions and test his adversaries. He fancies himself a powerful, unpredictable warlord in possession of deep strategic thinking skills, but really, he's just doing what we expect him to do. Russia is just one of 4 countries known to be developing anti-satellite weapons that can be fired from the surface or the air. The others are the US, China, and India. We can expect more incursions, aggressive maneuvers, and even ASAT tests as time goes on. This is provided by Universe Today, and it's on phys.org. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.